Versatile Mage. Chapter 586. Intruding into the tomb. A great bunch of lightning forked out into their surroundings. As the thickest lightning strike among them landed on its target, the lightning forks spread more vigorously in the air, forking into more branches and further strengthening the effects of the attack. As a result, the lightning strike blasted a hole through the corpse general's body. The flesh under the gray-white winding sheets was scorched black. Half of its shoulder was gone. The cloth-wrapped corpse general was indeed different from the giant corpse general, which had a body like an ox. When Mofan was fighting against the giant corpse general, even his third-tier lightning strikes were ineffective against it. Meanwhile, it turned out that even though the cloth-wrapped corpse general was shockingly fast, it was not too difficult to kill it after restricting its movements. The cloth-wrapped corpse general did not seem harmed after suffering the damage. Its eyes emitted a crimson glow as its body began to spin rapidly on the same spot. It continued to spin at a faster speed, turning itself into a metallic drill, digging into the ground. The forest of Kun did not have roots under the ground. Even if there were roots produced by the spell, they were fairly fragile. As such, if the target was capable of digging into the ground, the forest of Kun would lose its effectiveness. Soon, the new hole was the only thing left in the forest of Kun. The corpse general had disappeared without a single trace. "Damn it, we let it run away," said Scarface furiously. "Isn't that good news for us? We can now regroup with the army. It feels like they have already gone far away." Shorty turned around and glanced at the army advancing into the distance. Yu Kingsu was not too satisfied with the outcome. If she knew the creature was capable of digging into the ground, she would have tied it up with vines first. The cloth-wrapped corpse general was a fairly rare kind she had never encountered before, with many unexpected capabilities. If she were able to secure its undead crystal, it would improve her ranking. A soft, strange sound came from behind Scarface, like someone was stepping on ice. "Did any of you hear?" Shorty was just about to speak when the ground half frozen by Scarface suddenly cracked open. Two winding shits lunged out from the gap suddenly. The winding shits flew at Scarface. They intertwined and instantly wrapped around the man's throat. However, the big man was able to react quickly. His figure was covered in light the moment he was ambushed. The light brown glow rapidly transformed into plate armor, turning him into a brown armored knight. However, the winding shits were not intended to inflict any damage to begin with. Even though Scarface was protected by the armor, he was still dragged away by the winding shits around his neck. While everyone was still reacting, Scarface had already been dragged over 10 meters away, into a yawning tomb that none of them was even aware of in the first place. Save him quick." Yu Kingsu panicked. She immediately chased after Scarface. Unfortunately, Yu Kingsu did not have any movement spells. She had no chance of catching up to Scarface, who was being dragged away rapidly. The whole sequence had only lasted a second. Both Mofan and Shorty had no clue what spell they could cast to save the man. He was dragged into the cave. "How are we going to save him? Are you implying that we should all jump into it?" Shorty went up to the cave, and discovered that it was completely dark inside. Vision was not their true concern, but the cave seemed to be extremely narrow. Magicians who were most vulnerable when their enemies were within melee range, if they did not have defensive spells like turtle shells to protect them, they would simply be overwhelmed by mere zombies pouncing at them. "If you two aren't going, I'll go myself." Yu Kingsu clenched her teeth and jumped into the cave. Mofan and Shorty were left wide-eyed at the entrance. They had no clue what was down there at all. Wasn't it simply committing suicide jumping down like that? "What should we do? Are we going down too?" Shorty looked at Mofan, unable to make a decision. "What choice do we have? Let's go down and save them. Little Flame Bell, come out," yelled Mofan. Mofan began to cast the intermediate star pattern of the summoning element, yet when he was only halfway drawing the star pattern, the little flame bell had already come out herself, extending her fist into the sky, as if she had come out to save the world. Mo Fan felt a surge of disgust. He should not have let her watch Ultraman. His contracted beast was now suffering from 8th grader syndrome. Shorty was completely shocked at her display. He was not stunned after witnessing Mo Fan's third element, as those who kept an eye on the rankings surely knew that Mo Fan, who was ranked 5th on the innate talent leaderboard, had 3 elements. The problem was, how the hell did Mo Fan's contracted beast come out when he had only drawn half of the star pattern? It didn't make any sense. The creature most likely has a lineage related to the space element, so she can come and go as she pleases, explained Mo Fan helplessly. Oh, I see. I'm not too fond of going down there. I'm afraid that I won't have the chance to see my son who's going to be born soon, Shorty expressed his real thoughts. Cut the bullshit. Mo Fan did not give Shorty any chance to complain. He lifted Shorty up and asked Flame Bell to light the path ahead, before jumping into the cave after taking a deep breath. Don't do it. Shorty was too tiny compared to Mo Fan, who was simply a wild man, dragging Shorty with him into the cave. The path was straight, more like a well instead of a cave. The place was not covered with soil, but rotting bricks from ancient times. It seemed like someone did build the tomb here in the past. Crap, how are we not at the bottom yet? Shorty was already screaming like a sissy as they fell endlessly in complete darkness. Little Flame Bell was right below them. The fire erupting from her body was lighting the path, yet there was still no sign of the bottom. Finally, a chamber came into sight. Mo Fan squatted slightly as he landed, trying to provide some cushion for the impact. Shorty was not as comfortable as Mo Fan, whose legs were numb from the landing. He immediately cursed in pain. Where's Yu Kingsu? Mo Fan scanned their surroundings, but found no trace of King Lajiao. I bet she was dragged away, too. It's not difficult to try and kill the cloth-wrapped corpse general on the surface, but now that we're in its territory, we're most likely doomed, said Shorty, who had been incredibly unwilling to come down here. I thought we were going to see undead everywhere down here. In fact, it's quite spacious. Mo Fan used the light emitted by Flame Bell, the moving light bulb, to check his surroundings. Chapter N. Versatile Mage. Chapter 587 Imperious Baby, Little Flame Bell. I'm telling you, if my wife becomes a widow, and my son loses his father, it's all your fault. Them jumping into this cave is simply the same as committing suicide by jumping off a building. Shorty kept mumbling. Mo Fan let Little Flame Bell lead the way. Her senses were slightly sharper than a magician's. The Little Flame Bell seemed extraordinarily excited, as it was her first time being in such a fascinating cave. She waved the fiery robe on her body around and proceeded to guide him on. Stay close, Mo Fan urged Shorty. There was no way Shorty would dare to stay on his own. He quickly caught up to Mo Fan and his little pet. The tomb was extremely spacious, much wider than they had imagined. However, due to the thick presence of death, the light from the flames was unable to spread very far. The light produced by the flames could serve as illumination, yet it did not contain the power of the light element, which could drive darkness away or purify it. A single brilliant light would not only clear the presence of death and miasma but also light up the entire chamber. Let go of him, you disgusting corpse. An agitated scream came from the darkness ahead. Mo Fan took a closer look and discovered the person to be Yu Kingsu. Her outstanding curves were surrounded by infuriated lightning arcs, producing loud cracks in the air. Mo Fan glanced further ahead and saw a slightly moldy blue pillar. The pillar seemed to be the main support of the chamber, like the trunk of an ancient towering tree rising to the top to support the ceiling. Halfway up the pillar, Scarface was dangling in the air, with winding sheets wrapping tightly around his neck. His limbs were tied up too. Even with his armor, he would simply suffocate once he ran out of oxygen. Some distance away from the pillar, the cloth-wrapped corpse general was hanging upside down like Spider-Man in the air. Its pair of icy, cunning eyes were staring at Yu Kingsu with a hint of mockery. Black blood was still dripping from the wound on its shoulders after being blasted open by lightning, yet the creature did not seem to care. The cloth-wrapped corpse general uttered a weird chuckle, like a cunning fox that had caught its prey. "Why the hell are you wasting your time talking to it? Let's kill it and regroup with the army." Shorty ran forward, panting heavily. Mo Fan did not want to waste any more time either. He fixed his gaze on the cloth-wrapped corpse general, which continued to chuckle weirdly. It was obvious that the creature possessed some degree of intelligence and was waiting for Scarface's armor to fail. Once the armor disappeared, the creature could easily strangle him to death. "Little Flame Bill, exterminate it," said Mo Fan. Little Flame Bill was extremely excited. She flew straight at the corpse general with a pleasant chime. The flames on her body grew stronger and bigger as she went. "What the hell is a summoned beast in her youth phase going to do? Are you treating our lives as a joke?" Yu Kingsu screamed after seeing this. Mo Fan ignored her. His eyes continued to scan their surroundings. For some reason, he felt that the cave tomb was not as simple and empty as it seemed. The emptiness was reasonable since most zombies had gone to the surface to enjoy a night bath, leaving the cave empty. However, the presence of death was too strong to be comforting. Mo Fan's shadow element sensed an unusual presence in the dark. As Little Flame Bell flew higher, the calamity fire erupting from her body grew stronger. She had turned from a little puff of flame into a rolling fireball over 2 meters in diameter. The fireball flew right at the corpse general. The agile creature immediately reacted and switched positions in the air, yet the fireball that Flame Bell had turned into was agile too, since it was the Flame Bell herself. The fireball with a diameter of 2 meters halted in the air for a second before flying right in the direction that the corpse general was moving. While the fireball was changing its path, its diameter grew another meter, now 3 meters across. The corpse general continued to dodge the fireball. The winding sheets it left behind were burned into ashes within seconds. It likely never thought the little fiery creature would possess such overwhelming power, turning into such a huge fireball. At the center of the fireball, Little Flame Bell uttered a frustrated cry, as if saying, "Stop running and come fight an enjoyable battle with me." The corpse general was most likely a living dead rather than an undead without intelligence. It felt extremely humiliated being challenged by Little Flame Bell, yet it had no choice but to keep running. Its greatest weapon, the winding sheets, was utterly useless against the calamity fire. On top of that, the fireball that Little Flame Bell had turned into now had a diameter of 4 meters. A fireball that wide was utterly horrifying. Even a giant corpse general with sturdy defense would stand no chance against it. "What are you waiting for, standing there? Go and save him," yelled Mo Fan when he saw Yu Kingsu standing there stunned. Yu Kingsu's eyes widened at the sight before her. A little fiery, calabash sister, in her youth phase was driving the cunning cloth-wrapped corpse general all over the chamber. It was like a little girl who had just started kindergarten chasing a grown gangster down the street with a lighter in her hand. Yu Kingsu quickly controlled her magic vines to save Scarface upon recovering. Blue veins had already surfaced on his face. If they had not saved him, he would have definitely suffocated. As Yu Kingsu was focused on saving the hostage with the magic vines, an eerie shadow appeared behind her. The shadow rose to its feet. Its outline resembled a devilish goat standing upright, complete with downward curling horns like a demon's. The shadow of the goat-horned creature held a sharp object resembling a dagger. It was trying to silently slice Yu Kingsu's throat open. Yu Kingsu was completely unaware of the creature's presence since it was merely a lump of shadow. She even assumed it to be Shorty's shadow cast by the blazing flames. Yet the shadow was none other than a demon beast, one fond of slicing its prey's throat. Light protection. Sacred shield. Shorty cast a light spell in the nick of time. The light element was extremely effective against dark demon beasts. Even though it was only a defensive spell, the light emitted by the sacred shield surrounding Yu Kingsu felt like a soldering iron as it touched the creature, which began to screech horribly as it burned. Chapter N. Versatile Mage. Chapter 588 Throat-Slicing Horned Demon. Yu Qingsu finally realized that the god of death's kiss had just swept past her throat when she heard the cry behind her. Her body subconsciously shivered. What was that? Yu Qingsu had fought countless undead, yet she had never heard of a creature with goat horns that could turn into a lump of shadow. The creature had suffered a serious injury from the sacred shield. It fled into the shadows of the chamber while uttering a cry of agony. Yu Qingsu barely saw its savage appearance when she turned her head around. He, you should thank me for being more knowledgeable than most of the so-called experts on the rankings. That creature is a throat-slicing horned demon, one of the most dangerous among the phantom generals. Their ability to utilize shadows for ambushes greatly surpasses any shadow magician you've met. It could even crawl out from the shadows onto your back without you noticing and slowly slice your throat open. Many strong magicians like you have died to those creatures. They usually don't prey on ordinary magicians but select their targets from the elites. If the undead have a leaderboard, that throat-slicing horned demon is surely ranked close to the top. Explained Shorty. Mo Fan nodded slightly. No wonder he kept feeling that the cloth-wrapped corpse general was trying to set him up. It turned out it was simply posing in front of them after having countless opportunities to finish Scarface, whom it had captured as a hostage. It was purposely trying to catch their attention so the throat-slicing horned demon could eliminate its greatest threat, Yu Qingsu. Unfortunately, the cloth-wrapped corpse general had made mistakes too. It likely planned to keep all the magicians busy, so they wouldn't notice the surprise attack from the throat-slicing horned demon. To its surprise, the little flame bell that Mo Fan had summoned was enough to drive the creature into running wildly around the chamber, giving Shorty plenty of time to observe their surroundings. His light element made him more sensitive to the darkness, as the two elements naturally repelled each other. The perfectly timed light protection, sacred shield totally nullified the plans of the two cunning undead. It was impossible to tell how many magicians had been killed using the same deadly trick. The cloth-wrapped corpse general is most likely not an undead, but a living dead instead. That thing will be a disaster if left alive. We should kill it at all costs. Same goes for that throat-slicing horned demon. If it somehow sneaks behind our troop, it would slit many throats while they're busy drawing star patterns. Mo Fan said. Mo Fan finally understood Yao Nan's intentions. Their captain had likely sensed something was weird about the corpse general and had purposely sent those he trusted to handle the creature. Yao Nan was quite a capable hunter, able to identify potential threats that could destroy his entire team even in the middle of chaos. Shorty, Scarface, King Lajiao, you three handle the throat-slicing horned demon. Leave the cloth-wrapped corpse general to me and my daughter, Mo Fan ordered as the team's vice-captain. Yu Qingsu was no longer as stubborn as before after witnessing the strength of Mo Fan's summoned beast. Besides, she would not allow the creature that almost took her life to escape. With me here, I bet that arsehole won't have many corners to hide after I light the place up with a few brilliant lights, said Shorty heroically. Many people assumed the light element was not as useful as the others. The light protection, sacred shield was not as sturdy, nor did it cover as much area as the rock barrier. The truth was, only mediocre magicians thought the light element useless. In special circumstances, such as fighting the throat-slicing horned demon, the light element's usefulness was fully displayed. Other elements, no matter how destructive or effective in controlling enemies, could not threaten the throat-slicing horned demon because they could not even spot the creature. It was impossible to inflict any damage unless spells could cover the entire chamber. Additionally, the creature would continue hiding in shadows near magicians. As soon as they lowered the guard, blood would jet from their throats. Shorty had gone through a lot as a hunter and had heard many stories. He once heard of a group of over 10 elite hunters who exterminated undead in a tomb. They cleared the tomb and were returning full of loot from victory. However, they were killed one by one on the way back. Only one survived the throat-slicing horned demon. It was the first time Shorty had encountered the vicious Phantom General. Every hunter on the team could kill a warrior-level undead alone, yet they all died to the throat-slicing horned demon. They knew the creature targeted them but could do nothing but watch their comrades die one after another. The greatest misfortune was that none of the magicians on the team was a light magician. If they had even one light magician, they could have prevented the tragedy. Shorty was unwilling to earn a living in other cities, knowing light magicians were more valuable in the ancient capital, especially someone like him, whose light element was his primary element. Though it was his first encounter with a throat-slicing horned demon, any light magician was a bane to dark creatures like it. A brilliant light with huge coverage could illuminate the whole chamber. No matter where the throat-slicing horned demon hid, the white glow would reveal its position. Brilliant light. A ball of light appeared in Shorty's palm. As he threw the spell into the air, it immediately turned into countless rays, pouring down in the chamber. The light quickly purified the strong presence of death, driving the darkness away. Yu Qingsu scanned her surroundings, searching for the throat-slicing horned demon. The light was extremely bright, enough for her to see the entire chamber clearly. Yet even after illuminating every corner, she failed to spot the throat-slicing horned demon. "Has it run away using another passage?" asked Yu Qingsu with a frown. "Humph, that asshole dares to outsmart us. If we can't see it after lighting the whole chamber, it must be hiding behind the pillar." Shorty grinned, spotting the sly trick the throat-slicing horned demon used. Yu Qingsu didn't waste time. She directed the lightning in her hands toward the spot behind the pillar. The lightning arcs conducted rapidly along the ground, surging toward it. The unexpected curves of the lightning arcs indicated something was hiding behind the pillar. As more arcs arrived, they quickly framed the creature's silhouette. Lightning Strike was only a basic spell, so its paralyzing effect was not strong enough against the throat-slicing horned demon. The creature immediately ran when it realized its position was compromised. "I'll keep casting brilliant light to prevent it from fleeing into the shadows. You two will hunt it down. As long as the creature can't escape, it's no different from a servant-class undead," said Shorty with a smile. Scarface, finally catching his breath, raised his thumb at Shorty. Both he and Yu Qingsu chased after the throat-slicing horned demon, their hatred having reached the limit after almost losing their lives. Chapter N. Versatile Mage. Chapter 589. 38 stars. A loud crash echoed in the chamber. The fireball, now 5 meters across, that little flame bell had turned into, had just slammed into the cloth-wrapped corpse general. The creature had no place to escape after being forced into a corner in the chamber. The fireball exploded. It felt like a fireburst, rupture, but with its power multiplied tenfold. Half of the spacious chamber was devoured by the erupting flames, and the place felt like it was about to collapse. The chamber quaked violently. Dust and grit fell from above as cracks began to spread across the sturdy walls. Meanwhile, the cloth-wrapped corpse general was completely engulfed in flames within a pile of burning debris. The cloth-wrapped corpse general was just too unlucky. Normally, with its speed, it was hard to land any destructive spell on it. Yet the area of Little Flame Bell's fireball was too terrifying. With the limited space in the chamber, it was only a matter of time before the fireball struck it. Little Flame Bell was overjoyed. She zipped past the sea of flames she had just created and flew over to where the cloth-wrapped corpse general was lying. The little creature was rather naive. She simply wanted to check if her target was dead. If not, she wouldn't mind using an even stronger calamity fire to send the creature into the afterlife. To her surprise, the cloth-wrapped corpse general was cunning enough to fake its death. When Little Flame Bell went up to it, the winding sheets around its arm suddenly turned into a drill, stabbing at her viciously. The attack completely caught Little Flame Bell off guard. There was no way she could possibly dodge it. However, the cunning Mo-Fan would never allow such a thing to happen. His fist erupted in flames that streaked through the air and struck the cloth-wrapped corpse general as it lunged from the ground. The cloth-wrapped corpse general was knocked flying while still mid-air. Its body slammed into the chamber wall, producing a deep hole, and was quickly burned to ashes by the combination of different flames. The cloth-wrapped corpse general's defense was not as outstanding as other kinds of corpse generals. Mo Fan's punch was strong enough to blast it to death. As Mo Fan took a few steps forward, a wisp of dark green fragmented soul drifted toward the little loach pendant, confirming that the cloth-wrapped corpse general was indeed dead. It was a warrior-level soul remnant. In fact, there were quite a number of warrior-level soul remnants floating in the nether river inside the little loach pendant. When the cloth-wrapped corpse general's soul remnant joined the rest, they immediately gathered together and combined into a dark blue amber in the shape of a water droplet. A soul essence. The little loach pendant had refined a soul essence. Most importantly, it was refined from nearly 100 warrior-level soul remnants, making it a warrior-level soul essence, bringing Mo Fan great joy. It turned out that not only could the little loach refine servant-class soul remnants, it could also refine warrior-level soul remnants into soul essences. The average price of a warrior-level soul essence was around 20 million RMB. Mo Fan's savings were nearly empty from feeding his little flame bell. Despite that, he was still unwilling to sell the pseudomorphing demon beast seed. He even had to rely on Lu Ru to pay the 20 million to Shorty. Now that he finally had the chance to earn 20 million, how fascinating. Oh, wait a second. Damn it, I almost forgot. I can't take the soul essences that little loach refines out from the pendant. I can only use them to strengthen my stars, he cursed instantly. His joy was short-lived. He couldn't even trade the soul essences for money. Speaking of which, can I even strengthen the stars with a warrior-level soul essence? The question suddenly crossed Mo Fan's mind. Since he couldn't sell the soul essence, he decided to experiment. He immediately used the freshly refined soul essence to strengthen the 34th star of his nebula. The naughty star was flying around wildly in the blazing red nebula. Mo Fan's control over the stars was like a fisher handling a tank full of fish. He was so experienced that he could instantly grab any fish in the tank he wished. Come, here's some nutrients for you to grow stronger. Mo Fan fed the warrior-level soul essence to the star he hadn't yet strengthened. The star rapidly absorbed the energy of the soul essence, becoming incredibly bright, and even had an extra flickering glow around it. Mo Fan initially thought the warrior-level soul essence would be consumed in the process, yet the soul essence was still there after its energy was absorbed by the star, only its color was slightly dimmer. So Des-Ne, a warrior-level soul essence contains more energy, which is enough to strengthen more than one star. Mo Fan felt a surge of joy. Only 15 stars remained unstrengthened, and the warrior-level soul essence could help him strengthen several of them. He immediately proceeded to strengthen the 35th star. The process went smoothly. Soon, the 35th star was shining brightly like its 34 siblings. Then came the 36th star. Success. Next, the 37th star. No problem. The energy contained in a warrior-level soul essence was truly superb. Here came the 38th star. The soul essence was now almost transparent. As Mo Fan finished strengthening the 38th star, the warrior-level soul essence finally dissipated. 5 stars. A single warrior-level soul essence was just enough to strengthen 5 stars. However, different warrior-level soul essences had varying levels of quality. Lower quality ones could only strengthen 4 stars, while superior ones could strengthen 6. Clearly, the soul essences refined by the little loach were of average quality. The count had now reached 38, only 11 more left to strengthen all 49 stars, which would greatly enhance Mo Fan's magic. This was extremely important to him. The power of a 4th-tier fiery fist was truly outstanding. Otherwise, Dongfang Lai wouldn't have held the top rank for so long. In truth, Mo Fan's fiery fist was only slightly stronger than a 4th-tier one when he was possessed by Flame Bell. Mo Fan simply took Dongfang Lai by surprise since he never expected his spell to be overwhelmed. If Mo Fan could also cast the 4th tier Fiery Fist, able to release 9 fiery dragons from his fist, combined with the extra power from Flame Bell's possession, his Fiery Fist strength would be close to an advanced spell. In addition, his Fire Seed could multiply the strength of his fire spells. Imagine that, an intermediate spell almost as destructive as an advanced spell. Wouldn't most of his enemies tremble in fear when facing him? He had to strengthen the remaining 11 stars as soon as possible. He was hoping to gain more benefits from the war against the undead, allowing him to learn a new, formidable spell and dominate the intermediate level. Chapter N. Versatile Mage. Chapter 590. Fighting a bloody way out. Keep running if you can. Your grandpa Shorty doesn't mind playing with you until your death, grumbled Shorty while casting a light protection. Rampart. The light protection, Rampart formed a cage that the throat-slicing horned demon could not penetrate. After Shorty trapped the creature with 3 consecutive light protection ramparts, it was finished. Yu Kingsu, filled with hatred, immediately threw a lightning strike into the cage, landing it on the throat-slicing horned demon. The demon's defense was even weaker than the cloth-wrapped corpse general. Its body was severely injured by a single lightning strike, lying half dead in the cage, hopeless to flee. Allow me to help the creature find its peace. Shorty followed up by throwing a brilliant light into the cage. A magician should always conserve their energy, especially when a basic light spell was more than enough to finish the creature. The rays of light emitted by the glowing ball were like incredibly sharp swords to the throat-slicing horned demon. They instantly pierced the creature's shadowy figure, leaving countless holes. The demon did not last more than a few minutes. Its body shattered into smaller black pieces. In the end, all that remained was a black piece of canvas falling to the ground. It turned out that the phantom had been possessing the canvas. Shorty's eyes glittered when he saw the ghost canvas. However, he did not show excitement. He picked up the canvas indifferently and grumbled, "All it dropped is this thing that looks like a piece of loincloth. What the hell can we even use it for? Maybe someone will buy it from me." Shorty had already slipped the ghost canvas into his pocket mid-sentence. Unfortunately, a huge hand immediately grabbed his wrist. He looked up to see Scarface smiling, revealing his tobacco-stained yellow teeth. "Bro, that thing is actually quite valuable. Since you know what the throat-slicing horned demon is, you know how valuable its ghost canvas is too," said Scarface. Shorty immediately pulled a long face. This man, who looked like a hefty version of Rurouni Kenshin, had almost lost his life a few moments ago, yet he was still thinking about the ghost canvas. If Shorty kept it, he would earn a great profit even without considering the other loot from the night. Hee, it's not like that. I'm not sure about its value. How about this? I can sell it at a good price. I'll take it and compensate you all with other things. How does that sound? Said Shorty. It depends on what you're planning to give us. All 3 of us are included, Yu Kingsu replied, not easily fooled. 1 soul seed piece. Are you treating me like an idiot? Give me the thing, now. Scarface said furiously. All right, 5 million. I'll give everyone 5 million. You can only sell it for 20 million at most. I'll give each of you 5 million. It's a fair deal, said Shorty. That sounds more like it. Shorty felt his balls hurt. He shouldn't have saved the guy. The profit was not as impressive after splitting it among 4 people. Shorty was a man of his word. He immediately gave everyone soul seed pieces and magic ores valued at 5 million according to the market. This servant class soul essence is for you. It's worth roughly 5 million. Shorty handed a soul essence to Mo Fan. Mo Fan was stunned. How did the guy know he needed soul essences? Normally, Mo Fan would never spend soul essences that could be traded for money to strengthen his stars. However, since he was so close to strengthening all 49 stars, he decisively used the soul essence to strengthen his next star. Only 10 stars remained until he could cast the 4th tier Fiery Fist. After leaving the chamber, he would have to put more effort into collecting the undead's soul remnants. Collecting soul remnants was quicker when killing undead, as they always died in packs. The group made their way out of the sunken tomb after splitting the loot. Everyone was shocked as soon as they emerged from the cave. The area was surrounded by pitch-black figures. Zombies had filled the place while they were busy dealing with the cunning Corpse General and Phantom General. They subconsciously took a deep breath as their entire field of view was filled with the faces, bodies, and limbs of the undead. Quick, let's leave this place. Shorty no longer thought about the ghost canvas after realizing the danger. Little Flame Bell, clear the path. Mo Fan immediately ordered. Little Flame Bell flew 3 to 4 meters above the ground. She puffed out her cheeks and spat blazing flames ahead of them. The flames poured down like a river, forming a blazing red carpet. Servant class undead caught in the flames were either burned beyond recognition or fled in all directions. The Calamity Fire was far more imperious than the Rose Flame. Besides, Little Flame Bell was still in her youth phase and could not yet fully exploit its power. Awesome. Your contracted beast is comparable to 4 or 5 intermediate fire magicians, Shorty praised Mo Fan. Enough flattering. Hurry up and use your brilliant light to blind the zombies behind us. They're fucking fast runners, cursed Mo Fan. In addition to the flames clearing the path, Mo Fan and Yu Kingsu, both lightning magicians, paralyzed a huge number of zombies with their lightning strikes. However, only Mo Fan's 4th-tier lightning strike was strong enough to paralyze a crowd. The zombies, which enjoyed stacking up like human pyramids, had no chance to reach the group. I see it. The army is just ahead, yelled Scarface. Holding an ice chain in each hand, Scarface flung them sideways with great force, knocking down zombies on both sides. More than a kilometer away from the army, the 4 magicians sprinted across the black sand, using boots equipment while drawing star patterns continuously. A magic vine burst from the ground, entangling the legs of 2 zombies. The 4 had no time to waste on them and ran past quickly. Shorty's brilliant light exploded on the other side. The light was so strong it stopped another 4 to 5 zombies from advancing as they shielded their eyes. When their vision returned, the 4 magicians were already 100 meters ahead, surrounded by another pack of undead. My turn. Wind Disc. Sky Snare. Scarface shouted imperiously, controlling the airflow nearby with his hands. The wind spun rapidly around the group, growing from a slight breeze into Sky Snare wind walls strong enough to crush anything into pieces. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.